Hello there, and welcome to another training class. This particular class is going to be concerned with the actual presentation itself. It's going to be a page-by-page dissertation of how to sell pre-need services. So let us begin, shall we? Now, good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. We are going to discuss understanding funeral and memorial costs. It's not a complex thing, but it is something that needs to be fully understood, and I'm going to do my best to help you understand it, okay? Now, let us move forward. Before I get started, I'd like to ask you two questions. Why haven't you made your arrangements yet? And then I'm going to wait for your response. And whatever you say, it's going to be fine. Well, that's good. Well, let me ask you another question. If there had been a death in your family yesterday, what would you be doing today? And I'm going to wait for a response. And the purpose for me doing this is to bring a death into their household. No matter what they say, I will agree with it. Well, this is true. But did you know there would be 49 things that would have to be handled on one of the most difficult days of your life? Notifications, selections, and arrangements that would need to be made within 24 to 48 hours after there's been a death in your family. Now, there's not much that we can do to remove the remorse or the sorrow or the hurt that will come along with the loss of a loved one. But there is something that we can help you with. That's the business end of this. Similarly, since you had to pay to come into the world, you had to pay while you were here, it would appear that the least they could do is bury you free. But they're not going to do it. Funerals cost, and they're getting more expensive year after year after year. Now, we've done a survey by cemeteries, and we found that 33% of the funeral arrangements that are made in the country today are made by the surviving husbands, whereas 67% of these arrangements are made by the surviving widow and their children. Now, quite frankly, I don't know whether or not women are overworking us or unfeeding us, but women are outliving us, and that's proven statistically. And sadly enough, when the head of the household dies, you've got three losses. First of all, you've lost a father to the children. Secondly, you've lost a husband to the wife. And thirdly, you've lost an income to that household. Now, that's going to bring about some serious changes in this home. So you're going to have to make some serious modifications, and you've got to be ready for this when it happens. Now, one other thing is funerals do not cost as much as people pay for them after a death occurs. When you have a death, it's more expensive. The luxury of choice is expensive at the time of death. For you to be able to choose and pick and those kinds of things, you're going to overspend. You're going to spend more money than you have to. And whatever they charge for their services is what you must pay. And you must pay it in cash because there are no repossession rights. Once you've been buried, if you haven't paid for it, they can't come and dig that body up and make you pay for that funeral. So it must be paid for in cash. Now, we've done a survey by cemetery, and we also have discovered there are multiple reasons for people overspending at the time of a death. Anybody that pays for a funeral at the time of a death will always overspend, and this is for a variety of reasons. One is a lack of information. A lot of people have never had the opportunity to talk with a counselor that could show them the more economical means through which this type of necessity could be afforded. Secondly, there's an unwillingness to discuss the problem till a death actually happens in the family. Now, that's kind of like learning how to swim. Once you find yourself in the deep end of the pool, and what that represents in this business is drowning and overspending. Thirdly, there's final arrangements made by a friend or a relative who does not know the family's financial situation. But these last two reasons are the major reasons why families overspend. Inflation is a factor here. Every year, price of these services get more expensive, more expensive. So the longer you take to take care of this, the more expensive it will be before you actually do. But did you know that you can freeze the price on these programs, start it now, pay whatever you want, And the bottom line is, no matter how much it gets in terms of costs in the future, you don't have to worry about that because you start the clock on inflation. But this last reason is the major reason why families overspend. There's a mistaken belief that life insurance was intended to be for burial expenses only, and that's not why life insurance was designed. Life insurance was designed to become an income supplement to the family. Once the head of the household or supporting spouse is no longer here to help with those financial responsibilities that will continue to come even after there's been a death in the family. Now, on the night that Mr. Jones passes, one of the first, second, and third calls you're going to make will be to a funeral director. And basically, what you're going to be saying is come pick up the corpse. Now, you might not be saying it like that. That's basically what you're going to be saying. He's going to come out and say, well, I'm glad you called us. I know you don't want to talk in the business tonight. So just sign this piece of paper, come see us tomorrow, and we'll help you with everything. You just get you some sleep. Now, first of all, Ms. Jones, on the night that Mr. Jones passes, do you think you're going to sleep? No, you're not going to sleep because you're going to think you're dreaming. This couldn't be happening. Your husband he can't be gone. I mean, this is just incredible. So you're not going to sleep at all. Secondly, you're going to sign a piece of paper which you're not going to read. Now, let me explain something. Do you have a checking account? Sure. I want you to pull out one of your checks. I want you to sign it and give it to me, and I'll put the numbers in there, whatever I want. Now, we both know that you're not going to do that, but that's just what you did when you signed that paper with that funeral director. You have authorized services, and you don't know what it's going to cost. And that's like signing a blank check. Now, the next thing is when you get out there, which is now today, and you're lethargic, you're tired, you haven't slept. Now it's time to do business. Well, this really isn't the time to do business, but you have to do business. Now you're sitting in the midst of a funeral director saying the first thing you're going to need is a space. And you do need a space, but you need someplace to be buried. The next thing he'll say you need is a vault. The vault is that concrete box that they put the casket in, and that actually keeps the ground from sinking. That's what the purpose is. It's not to protect the casket, it's not to protect you. It's only to keep that ground from sinking in the event that someone steps on the ground. Now, the third thing it's going to say you need is a marker. And you do need a marker because if you don't have a marker out there, nobody's going to know where you're buried. But then you need casket. Now, these are the four major items that you need in the funeral. But this is how the funeral director is going to do this thing. He's going to know that you're emotionally distraught from the loss of a loved one. It's the last thing you're going to do for him. You want to do something nice. You want to make sure it's a nice funeral. He knows this. So he's going to say, well, the next thing you need is this. The next thing you need is that. You need a bucket of paint thinner, wig spray, eyelash removal, toenail clips, anything you can think, put on that list, because his purpose is to drive up your cost. You see, he knows that whatever that cost is going to be when it gets to that bottom line, say, this is what you're going to have to pay. What are you going to say? Price is too high. I'm going to take the corpse back home till the price comes down. Call me when you have a sale. He knows you're not going to do that, you do too. And you're going to pay whatever it costs. That's a terrible position to be in. I know a guy that works out in Vegas. There's a stretch of land, desert out there between Vegas and LA. People get out there, they may leave LA or leave Vegas, and they don't put gas in their car, get out there in the middle of the desert, run out of gas. So now they need the gas man to come out there. Do you know they're charging upwards of $75 a gallon plus delivery fees? And the whole purpose for that is the bottom line is you're not paying for the gas, you're paying to get out the desert fee. So when you're in a position where you have a need for something, it's going to cost you more. Now, my next question is, how much do you think a funeral is going to cost? Well, he's going to say to you, well, even though you've got to pay for it, he wants to know, how do you intend to pay for it? And they'll ask you, can you pay cash for it? Now, they already know that 98% of the people that come through their doors can't pay cash for film. So what are they going to say? Well, I have my insurance. His next question is, may I see those policies? Now, you know why he wants to see those policies, don't you? He wants to see how much of that money you aren't going to get. Then he has you to sign a power of attorney that he puts with that insurance policy, sends it off to the insurance company, and that's what the insurance company do. Now they send the money back to him, all of it. But now, in some cases, you don't have to do that. And in other cases, people take the insurance money and run off with the money. We've seen that happen too. So we have a thing in place where you would not have to worry about that with the program that we're going to put together for you today. Now, the next thing he wants to know is how much do you think a funeral costs? And you need to know this. You need to know this. Now, I'm going to wait until you tell me what you think it costs. Then I'm going to show you how inflation affects the cost of funerals. Now, here's what happens. The average cost of funeral today is actually $9,500. But you can pay a lot more than that, and you can pay a little less than that. But the bottom line is, how much is a $95,000 or $10,000 funeral going to cost 10 years from today? Well, we're looking at over $18,000. What about 20 years from today? $27,000. 30 years from today, $37,000. 40 years from today, $6,000. 50 years from today, you're looking at the average cost of a funeral being $91,000. Now, you got to bear in mind, $91,000, 50 years from today, isn't the same $91,000 that you know today. Just like the $91,000 you know today, that's not like the $91,000 you knew 50 years ago. Because if you had $91,000 50 years ago, you were considered rich. That was a lot of money. So inflation is just going to decrease the cost. But by taking the program out tonight, we're going to eliminate that problem. You won't have to worry about what happens when death occurs. We will be responsible for it. All you have to do from this point forward is make one call, and that's all. We'll take it from there. Now, there's a right way, and there's a wrong way to make funeral arrangements. The wrong way is when you need it. The right way is before there's need it. Now, the wrong way is always a matter of choice, a matter of necessity, and never a matter of choice. You're in a position because you need it. You got to have it. You got a corpse that needs to be buried. So what do you have to look forward to? Higher prices. When you need something that costs more. Secondly, it requires cash. Now, it requires cash because there's no repossessive rights. Once you've been buried and you have not paid for that funeral rent cannot make you pay for it. What are they going to do? Come out there, dig up the corpse, bring it back, put it on your porch, and say, now, when you pay us, we'll come back and get that corpse. He can't do that. So you've got to pay cash for it. I'm sure you've seen people go to GoFundMe, go to their churches and begging for money, calling family members and getting everybody to team up and help pay for these arrangements when all they got to do is take a simple program out, similar to the one that we're going to do for you today, and that would be taken care of. Okay? Now, but then you've got a great deal of emotional strain to contend with, in addition to making hasty decisions. And here's the thing, these decisions got to be made within 24 to 48 hours after there's been a death in your family. And no matter what you got to do, you will do it. Why? You have a corpse that needs to be buried, and that's all that matters. Then you got limited selection on top of that, and you'll take what you can get. Why? Because you got to have it. Listen, like James Brown used to say in the song, got to have it. The bottom line is, this is something that you're going to have to deal with. And if you know you got to deal with it, I would rather do it under circumstances that I dictated instead of being in a situation where necessity dictated. That's the wrong way to do that. The right way is the way we're going to do this evening. When I leave here this afternoon, you will not have to worry about what's going to happen when a death occurs in your family, because all you're going to do is make one phone call, and we'll take it from there. All you got to do is attend the funeral. First of all, by taking care of this evening, you're going to have lower prices. Why? Because you don't need it. You're still alive. You're here. You don't need it. So they're going to sell it to you cheaper. Secondly, you're going to have terms to suit your budget. Not my budget, not your neighbor's budget, but your budget. Do you know right now tonight you can decide how much you want to pay a month? I don't make that decision. You do. And if I make the decision as to what I have to pay a month or what I can pay a month, then I can afford anything. Because I'll tell you what I can pay and you set up based on that. Well, guess what? That's what we're going to do this evening. It's going to have terms to suit your budget. But then you're going to have choice selection. Things that you get today, when you get ready to use it 20, 30 years down the road, it's choice selection. And they're going to be more expensive. And a lot of people aren't going to be able to afford it. But not you, because yours is already taken care of. Then you've got election is fading together, kind of like the old gospel song said, while the blood is still running warm in your vein. You have the protection for your loved ones and the personal satisfaction of having solved this most difficult problem. Now, at this point, I'm turning to the wife. Ms. Jones, there's a right way, a wrong way to take care of this. It's given a choice. Which of these two pictures would you rather see yourself in? She says, that one. I point to this one and say, this one? She says, no. I said, this one? She says, yes. Then I turn to the husband and I ask him, Mr. Jones, if given a choice, which picture would you rather see your wife and children in? He says, that one. I point to this one. He says, no. I point to that one. He says, yes. So what just happened is they both agreed that they wanted to do this the right way. That's called an assumptive close. That means that they agree that they want to do it the right way, which is tonight. So when they say they both agree and you ask them and they said, yes, this picture, that's it. You turn to the wife and say, good. Now, Miss Jones, spell your first name for me. And look at your contract. You start asking now, what's your date of birth? You keep asking these questions. And as you go into your contract, it's a step-by-step closing method that you will employ. But you have just witnessed the actual presentation itself. It's very simplistic. It's not complicated. And once you learn it, you begin to make adaptations in it to make the presentation your own. Good luck.